the Green Crescent Society for inviting me to present at this fantastic event. Mentor is an international youth development charity that works to prevent drug use and substance abuse amongst children and young people. And we currently operate in 8 countries, in Colombia, USA, UK, Sweden, Latvia, Lithuania. We have a partner in Estonia. We operate in Germany. And we also have an office in Lebanon that operates in the Arab region. I'm going to talk to you this morning about prevention around the world. We're going to very briefly talk about the history of drug prevention. I'm going to mention the broadening approach to drug prevention. We're going to look at different types of programs. We're going to look at the importance of cultural sensitivity. I'm going to talk about the unequal engagement and implementation of drug prevention around the world. We're going to look at the important role that NGOs play. Going to talk about unmet needs and some things we should think about when moving forward. Since prevention measures were first developed, the types of intervention approaches adopted have evolved significantly. The earliest prevention programs in the 1950s and 60s concentrated on highlighting the risks of drug use and saying that it was morally wrong. Prevention initiatives in the 1980s and early 1990s strongly focused on scare tactics and just say no campaigns that we heard spoken about yesterday. Richard Ives in particular spoke about the ineffectiveness of some of the media campaigns of the 80s and 90s. The next phase of prevention effort aimed to provide unbiased information and education about drug risks. As it became increasingly evident that education alone was not sufficient to change or prevent drug use behavior and did not address the contributory factors for drugs use, a range of new approaches were suggested as relevant. These included focusing on raising self-esteem, the need to address peer pressure, to build personal and social skills, to focus on attitudes and values, and to consider other societal influences that might cause young people to become involved with drugs. More recently, the field of drug abuse prevention has made significant advances and has emerged as a credible scientific discipline, due in part to the work of some of the people that have been speaking here in Istanbul over the last few days. As a result, policymakers and practitioners in the field have developed a more complete understanding of the underlying psychosocial risks and protective factors associated with drug use onset and progression to abuse. And I maybe can assume that most of you are familiar with these risk and protective factors. So more than just a lack of knowledge about drugs and their consequences, the evidence points to genetic and biological processes, personality traits, mental health disorders, family neglect and abuse, peer drug usage, drug availability, proximity to trafficking routes, lack of access to quality education, poor attachment to school and the community, and growing up in marginalized and deprived communities among the most powerful risk factors affecting young people. Conversely, psychological and emotional well-being, a strong attachment to caring and effective parents, and to schools and communities that are well-resourced and organized are all factors that contribute to individuals being less vulnerable to drug use and other negative behaviors. Gaining a better understanding of risk and protective factors for drug abuse has subsequently led to the development of programs whose aim is to reduce the risk factors and to enhance the protective factors. Risk and protective factors vary considerably across age, gender, ethnicity, which includes common ancestral, social, cultural, or national experience, religion, and socio-economic background. So prevention programs delivered around the world in different countries and in different communities within those countries must be tailored towards the different needs of these different groups. Researchers have also identified specific periods of high risk in which young people are particularly vulnerable to drug abuse, such as transitioning from one school to the next, undergoing physical changes during puberty, and disruptive social situations, such as when parents are going through divorce. We know that prevention programs are particularly beneficial and supportive during these transition periods. The need to adapt a program according to these factors clearly influences efficacy of delivering the same program in different communities, different societies, and in different countries around the world. Advances in neuroscience, genetics, and psychosocial studies have led to a much better understanding of the effects of drug use on the adolescent brain. Advances in brain imaging have helped us understand the impact of drugs on brain activity. Imaging has also revealed that the human brain continues to develop until the early 20s, and that drug use can lead to changes in brain structure, especially in the grey matter, an area that's been associated with intelligence. Genetic studies have led to insights into why adolescents are more apt to engage in risky behavior. Geneticists have been able to identify specific genes that are tied to risky behaviors. Research has shown that individuals carrying a particular gene are more likely to engage in impulsive behavior, such as excessive drinking and drug abuse. Psychosocial studies have given us a deeper understanding of risk and protective factors, as I mentioned, and these have filtered into the programs that are being delivered on the ground. All of these findings from scientific research promote the need for effective evidence-based programs, which has been put to the forefront of prevention work around the world. These developments have also informed a broader focus on positive youth development, building of life skills, and addressing issues that will help prevent involvement with drugs or other unhealthy or antisocial behaviors. Consequently, recent thinking points towards generic programs aimed broadly at forming good health habits and addressing not just drugs, but other antisocial behaviors such as aggressiveness, bullying, gang violence, and risky sexual behavior. And accompanied with this, we see researchers judging the old school programs as inefficient and calling for interactive prevention programs targeting a smaller audience. Research has proven that a growing number of prevention programs are effective in delaying the onset and limiting the extent of drug use by reducing the risks and enhancing the protective factors. Effective or best practice has gained momentum as the science of prevention has developed further, and there's significant evidence now to inform prevention work, including examples of programs that have proven to be effective, and a range of principles, standards, and guidelines have been developed on how to implement what programs work best. These include the NIDA, the National Institute on Drug Abuse's Prevention Principles, on the top left, the European Monitoring Centre for Drug and Drug Addiction's European Drug Prevention Quality Standards in the middle, and you're going to hear more about that from Angelina, the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime International Standards on Drug Use Prevention on the right, and the Canadian Centre on Substance Abuse's Standards for Youth Substance Abuse Prevention. Also on Monday, we heard about the Czech Republic's prevention program quality standards and their certification initiative. Evidence has highlighted the importance of parents in prevention. Family skills programs that involve all members of the family in a collaborative way have largely replaced traditional parenting programs that focused on parent-only interventions. Family skills programs such as Strengthening Families Program, Parents as Teachers, First Steps to Success, Prosper, Kids and Adults Together program, and Preparing for the Drug-Free Years have proven amongst the most impactful of these family skills training programs. Family skills programs are often administered in educational or community settings and can be delivered simultaneously with students' life skill training programs. The aim of these programs is to equip parents with the tools to create a constructive, understanding, and nurturing environment conducive to learning and positive development. However, unfortunately, family-based prevention is not delivered in many countries around the world. And often what you see is that those families that really need the training are not often the ones that are receiving it, because in many cases, it's a situation where families must volunteer to take part in these sorts of programs. So whilst prevention begins at home, as suggested in the ancient African proverb, it takes a whole village to raise a child, prevention is demonstrably more effective when it comes from every direction, including schools, youth groups, community, and faith-based organizations, sports and social clubs, and the community at large. Iceland, for example, has been running an evidence-based drug prevention program based upon a holistic approach that has seen youth drug, and particularly alcohol use, fall significantly. It's thought that actions carried out over many years to build a comprehensive community prevention model have been at the heart of the changes. This image actually is from a prevention summer camp, which is delivered by Mentor Lithuania, one of Mentor International's member organizations. School-based prevention programs focusing on building students' life skills, boosting their self-esteem, bolstering their resilience, have superseded traditional initiatives. School-based programs are designed to encourage change in the behavior of young people that are indicative of later drug use. By engaging with the program, students learn about the negative consequences of drug use in an interactive way, become familiar with healthy alternatives and are equipped with the skills to cope with situations and resist peer pressure. School-based prevention programs have been found to produce lasting results when they are complemented by family and community initiatives, when they target all forms of drug use instead of singling out any one particular substance, and are administered over an extended period of time, accompanied by follow-up sessions. School-based life skills programs report positive outcomes in regard to delaying the onset of drug use and diminishing drug use among young people who have experimented with drugs prior to the intervention. Moreover, they've proven to be beneficial on a much broader scale by means of reducing teenage pregnancy, HIV, gang violence, bullying, delinquent behaviors, and improving overall public health. Studies have shown that students who do not receive school-based prevention programs can be twice as likely to misuse drugs and engage in violent behavior compared to their peers. This photo is of two boys in a UK school. It was provided by Mentor UK, one of our members. Mentor UK are about to trial the Good Behavior game, which is a program from the USA. They're about to trial it in the UK in a number of schools to see if it has the same impact. I think those of you that attended David Foxcroft's presentation on Monday would have heard about the Good Behavior game. I'm trying to give you a few examples of some of the programs that are being delivered in different parts of the world, just to give you a flavor. In addition to family and life skills programs, mentoring programs have evolved as a tool to curb substance abuse among young people. They generally involve building a relationship between an adult and a young person based on trust and respect. After careful selection and matching, mentors and mentees meet at regular intervals, often with a predetermined structure and some level of facilitation. Mentoring programs are delivered in a variety of settings. It can be in schools, it can be in communities, or it can be in the workplace. The mentor is usually a trained volunteer who serves as a role model and offers emotional support to a young person. The relationship between mentor and mentee often goes beyond the one-year duration of the program. Mentors help young people set career goals and start taking steps to realize them. Mentors introduce young people to professional resources and organizations they may not be aware of, and they can help their mentees to learn how to seek and keep jobs. A study of a United States mentoring program showed that students who meet regularly with their mentors were 52% less likely than their peers to skip a day of school, 37% less likely to skip a class, 46% less likely to start using illegal drugs, and 27% less likely to start drinking. Some of the programs I've been talking to you about have a direct focus on drug abuse prevention, but others are just about giving young people skills, keeping them engaged in education, giving them aspiration and motivation to succeed in education and in the workplace. This photo is of a mentor couple from a one-to-one mentoring program run by Mentor Sweden. And in Mental Sweden, they also deliver programs that give young people career experiences and help to engage them with the world of work. Online programs have also emerged as a useful resource for organizations and practitioners that deliver programs in remote areas. While their positive impact on reducing substance abuse is limited, online prevention programs such as Australia's Climate Schools program have proven to decrease truancy, moral disengagement, and psychological distress. And they're now being tested in other countries, such as the United States and the United Kingdom, to measure their effectiveness in other settings. Other online programs, such as e-mentoring and parenting programs, have also emerged and are probably likely to become more prominent as technology becomes more accessible to everybody around the world. This was an e-mentoring program, and the next slide is an online parenting program. Several online portals and forums featuring evidence-based programs and resources have been developed for the drug prevention community. Such portals allow for the exchange of information and best practice, and they target a wide range of audiences, from the drug prevention novice to the veteran. Initiatives include Mentor International's Prevention Hub and local variations, such as Germany's PrevNet and Australia's GrogWatch. And they feature among some of the many internet-based prevention portals. Even though research can contribute significantly to improving prevention programs, not all the findings might be applicable across the world. Due to the intricate interplay of environmental, individual, social, and genetic factors that lead individuals to or protect them from substance abuse, there is no one-size-fits-all solution. A variety of factors need to be taken into account in the development of effective drug prevention programs, including cultural sensitivity. Research has shown that programs that take local community cultural beliefs and values generally, and also regarding substance abuse, into consideration are more likely to succeed. Children growing up in the Andean highlands of Bolivia, in which chewing coca leaves is culturally accepted, or children raised in northwestern India, in which opium ceremonies are a common practice to welcome visitors, share distinctly different views on drugs than children living in inner city Chicago or Istanbul. The same holds true for alcohol. Children growing up in heavy drinking cultures are likely to have different attitudes towards alcohol than children growing up in dry cultures. Drug use and attitudes to drug use can vary significantly within a country. Street children in Brazil might be tempted to use glue and pasta base, a highly addictive byproduct of cocaine pressing, whereas their peers, who may have more money, are more likely to be drawn to cocaine. So understanding the circumstances and the needs of the target audience is key to creating and delivering high-impact prevention programs. This image is from Mentor Arabia. They are based in Lebanon, but they deliver programs all over the Arab region. They've been delivering Unplugged in 6 Arab countries, and also a program called Building Blocks that tries to teach young mothers new ways of looking after themselves and their babies. However, the development and the implementation of prevention programs, principles, and standards remains dominated, for the most part, by Western practitioners and researchers, with the majority being North America and Europe-based. Today, the prevention field includes around a dozen only evidence-based outcome-evaluated programs, and research suggests that the majority of people delivering programs around the world are delivering programs that are outdated and that do not have efficacy or cost efficiency. Often, due to lack of funding, due to lack of resources, personnel, a number of low-impact programs have also seen a revival in some developing economies. Other programs now considered passé or old-fashioned in the Western world continue to be delivered around the world. These include scare tactics, profile of drug users, talks by former addicts, lectures about the dangers of drugs, one-time events and presentations, and of course the classic Just Say No campaign. Most of these programs have been proven inefficient in preventing young people from abusing drugs, and a few of them have even been rendered counterproductive, as they might spark young people's curiosity and interest in drugs. And we've heard some people speaking about that today and over the last couple of days. However, the future of effective drug abuse prevention does not lie merely in the dissemination of these 10, 12, 15 programs. It's highly likely that there are homemade programs being delivered in different parts of the world that have been informed by evidence-based programs that are effective, and that if they were evaluated properly, if they were evaluated robustly, they'd be seen to be having a positive impact. So, of course, there's a significant need for the development and the dissemination of easy-to-use evaluation methods. An interesting quote here from the International Youth Foundation that says, "A wealth of knowledge about effective youth development programs exists, but far too few youth-serving NGOs benefit from such expertise because of scarce resources and a lack of sustained coordinated action." So non-governmental organizations, NGOs, working in the field of prevention have a crucial role to play in preventing substance abuse on national and international levels. This was noted on Monday also by Gregor Burkhardt. Since examples of best practice are not always readily accessible and available in developing economies, NGOs can inform and guide local prevention initiatives. They can share expertise and knowledge. They can bring people together. And I think what's been happening over the last few days here in Istanbul is a perfect example of what can be done. Of course, what's important is what happens after these 3 days. On the regional and the local levels, NGOs can help develop partnerships that encourage exchange of information and experience in order to avoid the duplication of efforts. NGOs can help connect community-based organizations, volunteer groups, to local businesses and to multinational, international businesses that can provide funding, which is often the key to unlocking all these problems that we have. It's getting the money. Often we know what we need to do. It's getting the resources to allow us to do it. But still, in many countries, drug prevention is a relatively new area, and there's yet to develop effective policies at the government level. NGOs can be involved in this as well. They can be at the forefront of providing guidance on how countries can tackle drug abuse in the political arena. So, there are a number of unmet needs. Use of ineffective practices, lack of awareness of what works, use of effective practices that aren't being properly evaluated, limited national capacity to develop new programs, lack of voices arguing for the development of effective evidence-based prevention. You know, for many years we've heard about treatment, about rehabilitation. The time for prevention has come to be put at the top of the list of priorities. And of course, as always, there's limited research as to what works. Thank you.